Hello, my name is Georgios Verbena, and there's something that is not really talked about in the detox community. It's not really talked about if you go to a raw fruit group. It's not really talked about by Dr. Morse. It's not really talked about by Arnold Ehret, Dr. Sebi, or really anybody who promotes a diet towards health. Really, 90%, like probably 99% of people. And that's simply the connection between the mind and your ability to heal yourself. Usually, when people go on a diet, they get better, they heal some of their disease, but they find that some of their disease, if they have a chronic condition, especially if it's something they have had for years, doesn't seem to go away. Like no matter how much they fast, no matter how much they detox, what they eat, no matter how many diets they try, their chronic condition still remains. And the reason for that is simply that the condition is not related to the diet at all. In other words, you can be physically ill and it has absolutely, and I mean 100%, nothing to do with your diet. And that's something simply most 99% of people in detox communities don't talk about. They simply say, keep fasting, keep restricting, take your herbs, do some more flushing, forget anything else. But what I found is that one of my conditions, which is why I entered the detox community about 6 years ago, which is atopic dermatitis, never fully healed on detoxing. So I was 3 years raw fruitarian. I've done over 300 days of fasting. I've taken herbs every day. I've spent over 1,000 euros on Master First Herbs. I've done more than 5 different 50-day-long juice fasts, and I've even documented it. I've posted it on YouTube. I've had an interview with Gino from the Master First System. I've had interviews with different detoxification specialists. I've studied under Dr. Farida, another detox specialist. I've done certificates. I've done this, I've done that. Literally everything you could possibly do, I did. And 90% of my health problems indeed got healed. Well, the visible and noticeable health problems disappeared. But the less visible ones did not. And I get to that. But first of all, the focus is the 10% didn't heal, not because I didn't do long enough, because I did fucking 6 years, not because I didn't do hard enough, because I did harder than anybody, like 90%, but simply because my condition wasn't caused by the diet. The diet regulates your condition, reduces the symptoms, but the cause isn't the diet. Why you're sick is not because you eat milk, meat, and processed foods. That's not why you're sick. You think it's why, but it's not. Why? Because the other person, your friend, which eats even worse than you, is not sick. Simple. Okay? It's not hard to understand. It's not a difficult concept. If I eat the same diet, you eat the same diet, there's a control study over 5 years where both of us eat exactly the same thing, and I am sick and you are not, then the cause is not the diet. It's very fucking simple mathematics. So, what is the cause? Well, if you go on YouTube and you Google or search for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Gabor Mate, biology. The first video that you watch, literally the first that comes up, will tell you that the reason why people get sick is because they are traumatized. Now this takes 2 seconds to find out. Literally. It's so ridiculously easy to find out. Not only that, but there are thousands of studies that have been done to prove that most, if not 99% of all chronic health conditions are caused by childhood adverse experiences, relationships, family, friends, the environment, trauma. It's not difficult to find out. But the reason why it's not talked about is because ignorance, laziness, I think cognitive dissonance. Like when people find out that their condition is due to trauma, they'll be like, yeah, okay, trauma. And what do? Oh, I don't immediately, within 5 seconds, get an answer to that, so bye. Bye. So because it takes more than 5 seconds to find out what the trauma is, why you're sick, and how to heal, because in other words, you have to do some fucking research, nobody talks about it. That's why, really. I'm just guessing that is why. I mean, there could be a number of reasons, but probably that's the main one, because it's simply too inconvenient to work, really. It's far easier if somebody tells you, oh, eat bananas, oh, eat grapes, oh, stop eating meat and cheese, because that takes 5 seconds to tell somebody to do that. Very easy, super easy, ridiculously easy. And we are paying detox specialists to tell us to do that. Like if you're asking me, why would you waste your money on a detox specialist? Like, why? Like, for the love of God, it's so easy. Stop eating, fast. Okay, if you don't stop eating, then eat fruit, fast. Or if you can't eat fruit, then eat plant-based, no oil, no salt, low fat, fast. I mean, that's the general recommendation. Why would we pay somebody to tell us that? And why do we find it so difficult to do the work on our own that we literally pay somebody to tell us what to do? Simply because of what? Because our will is too weak, because we are children and we need to be pampered. And we are lazy. We are weak. We are pain averse. We don't like to do things we don't like to do, which of course is normal. It's in the biology. But here's the catch. If you are chronically ill, you want to heal, right? You want to get better. So why not just eat the fruit and stop paying people to tell you to eat fruit? Well, that's one discussion of its own. But the main issue of this video is that if you don't address the trauma, you're not really, like, what are you even doing? It's like, okay, the body is not a machine. The body, you treat it as a machine. Medical doctors treat it as a machine. Medical doctors don't talk about trauma. Society doesn't talk. Yeah, now more people talk about it. Thank God more people talk about it, please. But not enough, if you ask me. Not even close. Because people don't really know how it works. So, how does it work? Well, it's very simple. I'm gonna go so simple, like you're gonna think I'm crazy for how simple it is. So this is how it works. Thousands of years ago, people went to an astrologer to get their health read. Now, what does an astrologer have to do with health? Well, because health, your body, is comprised of the elements. You have water, you have earth, fire, and air. Air belongs to certain body parts, like the lungs, right? This is breath, air, obvious. Fire is the head, logic center of the brain. The eyes, because it's about threat detection and confronting issues, is the command center. Fire is spirit. Then there's water, which is emotion, which is absorption and reception, which is containment. Containment is safety, self-regulation, belonging to the stomach, in part the eyes as well. That's why we say eyes are the windows to the soul, because the eyes are tied to both the fire and the water element. And then there is earth, which is the bones, but also mucus, which is also water. Water and earth are mucus in the system. Now, if you have too much mucus, there's some kind of issue there, maybe. And then there is, well, that's basically it. So, fire, first of all, is tied to certain health conditions. For example, inflammation. Well, it's in the word inflammation. Flame, fire. Okay? Simple. Means too much fire or fire getting stuck, not being released. Now, why would somebody not release fire? You probably never asked yourself. Okay, ask yourself this. Do you have inflammation somewhere in the body? Did you ever have inflammation in your life? Now imagine if you ask yourself, I wonder why the fire got stuck there. Now, what is fire? I said before, it's spirit. Spirit is will, the will to act. So, in other words, if a fire gets blocked, it's the will that gets blocked. Now, why would my will get blocked? Well, because I'm not doing what I will, not doing what I want to do. Well, then what are you doing that is preventing you from doing what you want? And then you have the answer to why you have chronic, okay, not temporary, chronic inflammation in the body. Super simple. An entire set of conditions solved with a single inquiry, which takes 10 seconds. So, and this is why people went to astrologers. Number 2, water. So what is tied to water imbalances in the body? Well, if you're swollen, so let's say, like, I know I'm skinny as fuck, but I am very watery, like, this is like some fatty tissues, like I got cheeks of doom, because I'm Cancer Sun and Cancer Ascendant. No matter how skinny I get, my face will always look like it got beef. But if I was an air element person, you wouldn't want to be as skinny as I am. You would probably not look so good as me. Well, so the point is, the water is swelling, which means, what is swelling? Swelling in the body means water got stuck. Well, why would water get stuck? Okay, same question as, why would fire get stuck? Why would water get stuck? So what is water? Water is emotion. But here's the catch. It's not only your emotion, but also other people's emotions. It's also emotion of desire. It's desire that gets stuck. Okay? Because Water determines if you nurture yourself. So if you eat food, you satisfy water, water flows. But if you want to eat a certain food and you don't eat it, and you restrict for a long time, the water will get stuck. Same thing happens if you want to touch someone or something, if you want attachment, if you want love and care, but you don't get it. Desire that gets stuck, swelling. What is swelling? Mucus with water, because the water cools everything down, because there's mucus that's stuck, which causes inflammation. So when water gets blocked, it also causes inflammation, same as a fire problem, but the symptoms are different. It's swelling and mucus. So if you have excess mucus in the system, like you're always snotty in the nose, water is getting stuck. Again, super easy, super simple principle, can save your life. Can save your life to know this, okay? Vital, essential information, basic. Nobody teaches you this. Nobody talks about it. Nobody knows shit, okay? We are living in the dark ages. Yet, this knowledge is not new. This knowledge has been available for thousands of years. Thousands, okay? It's not anything special. And yet, it's very important. So that's why I make this video. I want to help you to understand why it's important to look at the elements through the body and not just the diet. The diet is made of the elements, but the mind is made of the elements, you see? Then what did I just talk about? I talked about fire, which is will, identity, self, ego, and I talked about water, which is emotion, self-regulation, nurturing, desire. Both of them completely mind-based, all mind. None of it has anything to do with diet at first. Of course, we get to that, but for now, it's just mind. So now imagine how much impact it would have to just solve the mental blockages behind those elements. Now, do you really think it would have no influence on your body whatsoever? Obviously not, it would have. And if you need an explanation, I recommend to watch Gabo Mati's videos. So it's really an epidemic of ignorance we're living in. Nobody talks about the organ connection also between the elements. So, for example, if you have an organ issue, right? Localized problem. So if you have a specific issue in a certain tissue, like let's say you have a problem with the throat. Let's say you have hypothyroidism, or you get swelling of the throat, or hypothyroidism, which means it's retracted. Your metabolism is fucked. If you have metabolism issues, the throat. What element does the throat belong to? Earth. Earth, because the throat belongs to Taurus, the astrological sign Taurus. And Taurus is about what? Security, values, stability, and relationships. It's about self-worth and self-determination. It's about self-protection and self-preservation. It's about control. If you have too much control, if you have control issues, you get issues with the throat. If it's not the throat, then it's the neck, the lymph nodes. If you go to a chiropractor and the chiropractor says, "Oh, your lymph nodes are so swollen. I wonder what could you be doing in your lifestyle that is affecting this?" If you go to an astrologer, he will simply tell you right away, "Oh, throat? That's easy to figure out. Taurus, stability, values, self-worth, control, preservation." All of these issues causing the throat issue means you have imbalance in any of these things. So the remedy is simple. Get stability, get self-worth, don't control so excessively. If you are rigid in any aspect of your life, try to let go of that rigidity. See what happens to the throat. Observe. Very easy experiment for free, free of charge, cost you nothing, you don't have to hire anybody. You can do it yourself. Now, if you go onto Google and you Google zodiac body parts or zodiac organs, then you get a list of every organ to every zodiac sign. The zodiac sign is area of life. So if you have heart problems or back problems, especially upper back, not lower back, upper and heart, chest is Leo. What is Leo? Leo is creativity, self-expression, joy, having fun, and being seen, attention, adoration. So, self-image. I wonder if my heart issues, my heart attack medications that I take every day, otherwise I will die, I wonder if looking at any of these issues could possibly influence that. Yes. So I'm not going to give you an overview of every organ, but that's basically how it goes. And if you know, like, you can ask me, you can ask your astrologer. Your astrologer will go very deep with you. If you go to an astrologer and you ask him, if I have this issue with my body here, like in my lungs or my feet, I have dry feet or dry hands, or I have circulation issues, or I'm cold all the time, or I have trouble in the winter, or I have trouble with my vision, with my eyes. Literally 2 seconds, and your astrologer will tell you exactly what it's connected to. If your astrologer isn't a fraud and a scammer, which unfortunately there are some, but if your astrologer knows astrology, then he will just tell you what the problem is in 2 seconds. Oh my God, it's so easy. And now what's not so easy is to figure out, okay, so let's say I have an issue with joy. I don't get any joy in life. Now I have to ask, causing the heart problem, why I have no joy. And then you'll have to do some work. Thousands of years ago, those astrologers were also therapists, psychologists. They didn't have a name psychologist back then, but they fulfilled that function. And that's ideally what you want. You need to do the psychology next, after you're done with figuring all of it out, because this is so basic. And I think if you do any detoxification, if you do any astrology, if you do any kind of self-healing without psychology, without figuring out, why is this problem in my life? In other words, if you're not hip on the self-knowledge, if you're not self-aware, then it's not gonna work out, the healing. You're gonna plateau, you're gonna get stuck, and you're gonna get rigid, because you will invest all your energy into the diet, thinking that it's going to save you, because that's all you got. Simply because psychology is lacking in this world. Astrology is severely lacking, even worse. And ignorance is all pervasive. So let's look at the comments now. I'm gonna look at the comments. Hello. Chariot reigns connected to kidneys. Yes, chariot. So there's even tarot cards connected to organs. The chariot is a card. Kidneys because letting other people be in charge of your life. If you have kidney problems, it's probably because you have to take charge of something. It's because you need to assert yourself, your dominance, your will. Because weak kidneys means weak will. Okay? And a lot of people have weak kidneys. Like, I wonder why so many people have kidney problems. Hello. So if you have any questions, you can ask them now. I'm just wrapping this video up. I wanted to help anybody who's watching this to get a better idea that the health problems and health struggles they have, they're not because they're not eating good enough. It's not because they're not enough in control, or because they don't follow a certain protocol. It's because there's a spiritual problem, a problem that is all pervasive. And the spiritual problem gets fixed by a change of behavior, because the body is tied to the behavior. If you have a weak will, the way you fix it is by asserting yourself. You can't have a strong will without self-assertion. So the behavior proves to the organism, to the biology, to the psychology, that you are really like you are it. Okay? You are the behavior. What comes out of you is you. You will not behave in anything. You will not do anything that on some level doesn't reflect who you are. Now that's a very important statement, because that means if you suppress yourself, if you're a people pleaser, if you let people walk over you, it reflects on who you are. It reflects on the image you have of yourself. It reflects on your self-respect. It reflects on the relationship you have with yourself. It reflects on how you treat yourself. And the behavior is the proof, because as they say, the proof is in the pudding. And what's the pudding is the behavior, is your actions, obviously. And what do they say? What is karma? Karma is action and consequence. And that's basically the determinant for your health. It's not the diet. The diet can help, because of course the diet is also behavior, right? So of course it helps. But it's not the end all be all. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe. Help my algorithm, please. And thanks for watching.